Since 1934, Iowa's farmers have turned to the Iowa Farm Bureau spokesman as their trusted news source. Now, the spokesman speaks. Listen in and hear from leading experts on topics important to farmers and agriculture. Now, here's your host.
Welcome to our February 27th edition of the Spokesman Speaks podcast. I'm Andrew Wheeler, and this week's episode features a conversation with Josh Remington of the Iowa FFA Foundation about Iowa's ag educator shortage and a new $1 million donation from Iowa Farm Bureau that's aimed at helping reverse that decline. Then, later in the episode, we'll have Brian Waddingham of the Coalition to Support Iowa's Farmers to talk about a surprisingly simple way some livestock farmers have saved money on their energy costs and snow removal this winter. First up is Josh Remington, Executive Director of the Iowa FFA Foundation. Last week was National FFA Week, which was a great time to celebrate FFA's tremendous impact on our youth, but it also spotlighted a growing concern, the shrinking number of ag educators around the nation and in Iowa, where we've lost 204 ag educators to retirement and other pursuits since 2015. Iowa Farm Bureau has been a strong supporter of Iowa FFA for decades, and our new $1 million donation is aimed at helping FFA tackle its latest challenge. Spokesman reporter Corey Munson has the story with FFA's Josh Remington.
So Iowa Farm Bureau Federation is thrilled to partner with Iowa FFA by making a $1 million donation aimed at furthering ag education in Iowa. Can you talk to me a little bit about the plan for those funds and what the All In for Ag Ed is all about?
So first of all, from Ag Ed's perspective, we are thrilled for this type of leadership investment into agricultural education here in Iowa. And we've talked and thought and tried to figure out who could help us really move the needle. And so this gift is all about doing just that. And when we started assessing where we were and where we are and looking towards the future, we realized that FFA as a whole is going to be 100 years old in 2029 here in Iowa. We had several leaders around the table and said, where do we want to be by the time we turn 100 years old and we celebrate that centennial? It started to come very quickly that our first mission had to be, how do we make sure that students across the state, all students, have access? And so we've said 100% of students by our 100th anniversary is that mission. Now with that, there's still several schools that do not have an ag program. And we've identified that one of the biggest reasons for that is we simply do not have enough ag educators. And so a lot of friends will even ask us, why are we worried about having students? Why are we worried about that? And part of it is a legacy. Iowa, we're known for our agriculture being as rich and deep as the soil it grows. We also know global demand for food continues to grow, and our soils and the people that work them are increasingly asked to produce more with less. Today, however, the challenge isn't really just how Iowa's farmers will feed the world, but it's who. We've looked at workforce development numbers. We've looked at these numbers for years and years, and every year we've seen more and more employers saying, we need more young people coming into agriculture. In Iowa, 1 in 5 jobs is directly connected to agriculture, and yet less than 5% live on a farm. You can see how those are polar opposites. And so we need everybody who's interested in the STEM fields of science, technology, engineering, math. We want everybody who has a passion for agriculture to know that we have some opportunities for them in agriculture, and we're here to help walk with them in their leadership journeys. So as we start developing All In for Ag Ed, we really are saying all in. And we've jokingly in the office even debated getting poker chips just so that we can pretend to push them and say we are all in on this because we believe Iowa's economy has to be all in for us to be successful in the future.
So as you mentioned just now, one of the big goals is to let every student in the state have access to ag education in their high school. Would you say that that is an achievable goal? Is that more aspirational by 2029?
It's a heavy lift. I'm not gonna sugarcoat that. It's a heavy, heavy, heavy lift, and it's gonna take a groundswell. This is not something that any of us by ourselves will be able to do, but this is where partnerships like Farm Bureau really comes in and says, we now have a collaborative force. We have some resources that we can help develop materials and talk to school boards. We can talk to communities, and we've had so many that have recently started to really look at what is agricultural education. For example, I know up north, Central Springs just launched their ag program, and that was by a heavy effort of some Farm Bureau members, actually. And we're really thrilled when that happens. So it's only going to be possible when we collaborate and come together, but we do believe that it's possible. And when we start looking at the data, we feel that with a really, really, really strong push and some great opportunities and some great resources, we can make this goal happen.
So, what specific efforts are underway currently to get out there and recruit these ag educators to get teachers in the classroom?
That's right. So we are looking at a bunch of different things. For example, Iowa was the first state in the country to do what we call a signing day. And so you've heard this for athletics, where they all gather in a classroom or in a library or something to celebrate an athlete who's going to sign to join to go to a college. We've decided, why don't we do the same thing if a student says, I'd really like to be an ag teacher. For us, that's as exciting as the young athlete being able to pick which school they want to go to. We think both are fabulous. So we're looking at how do we continue to improve that process. Every ag teacher in the state is looking at their current classes and trying to identify, are any of these students in the classroom right now interested and would make great ag educators, helping to coach them, helping to guide them. We're developing a pipeline for delivery to have all the way from a freshman in high school to a brand new teacher. We found ways that we're building clearinghouses of coursework and materials. We're developing best practices guides for all of the different teachers so that they know, hey, I'm not in this alone. We've developed a mentoring program to help keep some of those educators in the classroom. But one of the biggest things we've found is there's a financial hurdle that comes to even getting in the classroom. Until I was a part of it, I didn't realize that most teachers don't get paid their first paycheck for the year until September 20th. And when you think that, wow, these students are graduating college the first week of May, they work with their officer teams, they do the work-based learning visits, they help their students at the county fair, the state fair, they're doing all this work all summer long, but their first paycheck doesn't arrive till September 20th. So we've developed a program to say, if you're a new teacher in the state of Iowa, we're going to give you $1,000. Sadly, it's not the Powerball windfall that most of them wish we could afford, and we wish we could provide as well. But $1,000 might help some of them actually be able to afford, I don't know, pork and beef, so that they're not just eating tubs of cottage cheese because that's all they can afford. And yes, that's a true story from an ag teacher. Or we've got another program to where we've helped student teachers because of the expense to become a student teacher. We've given them $500. So in that short period of time of about 9 months, because of the partnership with our donors, such as Farm Bureau, the Iowa FFA Foundation is able to give $1,500 to young ag teachers to help them get over that financial hurdle. In the last year alone, that's accrued to more than $40,000. And we're thrilled to make that investment to keep these young teachers here in the state of Iowa and also keep them in the classroom.
That's huge, and I can absolutely understand needing to make sure those bills are paid. And it's a process to get moved and settled into a new community.
That's absolutely the truth. Absolutely. And it would be really easy if, they could stay close to home and maybe live with mom and dad for a couple months until they got on their feet. But sadly, ag ed positions, there's just a few at each school, and they only come available when they come available. So, we don't get to be that lucky. But at this point, we're doing everything we can to try and make sure we can provide those resources to those new teachers.
So, in your role as executive director of the foundation, I'm sure you hear regularly from students and teachers about school programs and ways that high schoolers are giving back to their community and really getting involved. What are a few examples that you love to share with folks that you've seen personally in Iowa FFA?
Yeah, there are so many. And Iowa is just absolutely blessed to have some of the best teachers and some of the best students in the country. And yeah, openly, I might be 100% biased here, so consider the source. At the same point in time, we look at the FFA motto, and the last stanza is living to serve, right? It's about giving back, getting engaged. And so I look at things like Audubon FFA chapter has done a great job of working with Meals from the Heartland to really connect the production of soybeans that are processed in Cedar Rapids to then giving back to help with hunger initiatives in their local community. I look at, like I said, Central Springs and some of the great things they're doing, just being able to open up the opportunities for the students in the local community. I look at Southeast Polk Community Schools and their aquaponics system, where they raise hundreds of pounds of lettuce every single month and week to give back. And they actually supply their high school with lettuce for their cafeteria program. I mean, that's hands on learning at its best, right? Being able to say, here's an opportunity to talk about food production, talk about food safety, and everything we do, everything we raise goes right back to our school cafeteria. These are FFA members living to serve, and we couldn't be more proud of what they do.
So you've mentioned Central Springs FFA a few times, and I had the honor last year of getting to meet with them and really explore what that chapter is up to. They had a unique challenge founding that, and it was actually a multi-year process to get them underway, mostly because they received some pushback at the cost of the program from the school district. Are there ways that FFA is looking at supporting, working around those costs or enabling chapters to get started?
That is an awesome question. We've actually, since the day I arrived at the foundation 11 years ago, one of my, what I'm going to lovingly call bucket list programs, has been to develop an endowment to support brand new programs. And honestly, because at that point we owed a significant debt on the FFA Enrichment Center, we weren't in a financial position to make that happen. But through a matching gift program, we're able to actually change what we've been able to do before. And so we have a donor that's matching 50 cents on every dollar for every non government gift that comes in right now. And that's paying our mortgage payments on the Enrichment Center. So coming back to Central Springs, we're able to help chapters provide resources. We're able to build some of these programs to help offer them the opportunities to students that they just haven't been before. And we're really excited to, one on our actual master plan is to continue that work to develop the giving program to offer new chapters programs a certain financial resource. Another option that we've been developing is our checkoff program across the state of Iowa. And as individual co ops and elevators come on board, their members can participate 100% voluntarily, and 1/10 of 1 cent per bushel would be donated to their local chapter. So, if they're unloading a semi, it would cost them $1, but that dollar can be donated right back to chapters such as Central Springs. And so, this past year, I know North Polk FFA got nearly $1,000 through this program. And these are ways that it costs the chapter nothing, and we're able to provide some of these opportunities right back to those chapters.
Fantastic. And I think everybody should definitely be jumping on board. Can you tell us the web address? Where can they find out more about how to get involved?
Our Iowa FFA Foundation is just iowaffafoundation.org. It's all one word, all spelled out. I call it the underline on my business card, but it is iowaffafoundation.org.
So finally, wrapping up here, what's coming up in the next few months for Iowa FFA? I know you've got your leadership conference in April. What's on the schedule?
Yeah, so I have to admit, you know what? We are just a few hours from our Black Ties Blue Jackets gala that's happening here on Saturday. And we're so excited because that kicks off National FFA Week here in Iowa. So we will have celebrations in all of our 262 FFA chapters just to really celebrate FFA and what its impact is, both at the local level, the state level, and the national level. And so we're thrilled by that. We also, in the month of March, have all 6 district FFA conventions. So, starting some of the competitive events as people move towards that state level competition. And then, as you said, there in April 17th and 18th, we'll be back up in Ames and excited to host the state leadership conference. And it'll be a awesome time to see our students' great work. And you know what? If you need your batteries recharged about what the youth in America can be, come on up and join us, because I guarantee you will leave there with looking out saying, wow, our future in agriculture is bright.
If agriculture is going to remain the backbone of Iowa, we need to make sure the next generation is ready to lead. FFA and ag education in our schools are the vehicles to make that happen, and Iowa Farm Bureau is proud to continue and even elevate its commitment to that cause through this new $1 million donation. If you'd like to learn more about the growing need for ag educators and how you can contribute to the future of Iowa FFA, we've included a link for you to click on in the notes for this podcast episode. Next up, we have Brian Waddingham, Executive Director of the Coalition to Support Iowa's Farmers. If you're a regular listener, you're probably familiar with some of the free and confidential services that the Coalition offers livestock farmers who are looking to grow their operations. But today, we're bringing on Brian to talk about livestock farmers' renewed interest in adding trees to their sites. Farm Bureau's Zach Bader takes it from here.
Brian, there's so many topics, of course, that are top of mind for livestock farmers right now. But you've been attending some of these winter meetings, and you were telling me that there's actually quite a bit of buzz around a topic that I wouldn't have expected: farmers who are looking to add trees to their livestock sites. Can you tell us about that?
We're getting a lot of questions right now about putting trees on livestock and poultry farms. Just wrapped up Pork Congress a few weeks ago, and probably our number one question at Pork Congress was establishing windbreaks around these hog barns, both nursery barns and finishing barns. But guys just had a lot of questions about making it work. What were our recommendations, things to consider when planting trees, and it was very beneficial for us. We had one of our nursery partners, Fraser Nursery from Vinton, Iowa, in the booth with us, and they brought about 10 of their different trees that they offer to livestock farmers. So it was a really great conversation starter. Farmers were able to see and feel what those trees were and how they would fit onto their livestock farms.
Why do you think trees are something that's catching livestock farmers' attention right now?
I think one of the biggest reasons is this winter's weather. We've received quite a bit of snow, but I think also the winds have been at exceptional levels pretty much all fall and winter, which has definitely caused a lot of drifting, a lot of blowing, and we can get those trees established. There's a lot of benefits, such as controlling snow deposition, reducing your LP costs, that sort of thing. So I believe that's a part of it, but then also we still have a lot of farmers that are cleaning up from that 2020 derecho that came through central and eastern Iowa. And one interesting tidbit with that is, we're not only working with farmers that had established windbreaks that got demolished, but we're also getting a lot of questions from farmers that didn't have any windbreaks, that saw the benefits from neighbors that had trees, and yeah, they might have lost a windbreak, but they didn't lose the roof of the house or the roof of the machine shed or the livestock or poultry barn. So we're also now starting to get a lot of questions from farmers that have never had trees that want to know if a windbreak would work on their farm.
So you've already alluded to some of those benefits. Talk to us a little bit more about some of maybe the cost savings that people are seeing from a management perspective, things that maybe even farmers wouldn't suspect are benefits of these trees that they're planting, or pleasant surprises, I guess.
Yeah, so again, kind of going back, one of the biggest benefits this winter has been cost savings on LP. One of the farmers that talked to us had two identical nurseries. They both had trees. The wind was out of the north and the heaters never kicked on that nursery, but when the wind switched and came out of the south, where we didn't have the windbreak on that other barn, all the heaters kicked on. And so you're talking probably thousands of dollars in savings on LP alone, not to mention, what does it cost to move snow? You have to have a skid loader or a loader tractor, you've got to have a snow blower, and then you or someone has to probably sit in that tractor 2 to 4 to 6 hours a day moving snow. So just from a labor savings, trees can pay for themselves relatively quickly. And then also, if you're not having to dig out your tunnel fans or your pit fans, let alone having to get up on the roof to scoop snow, you can justify the cost of trees around a barn pretty easily.
So of course, you can't just plant a tree anywhere or any kind of tree and expect to see those kinds of benefits. You've got to be intentional about that. You've got to be really thoughtful about it, what trees you're picking, where you're putting them, how you're managing those. So what kind of recommendations does the coalition offer for that?
Well, the first off is, the key to a successful windbreak is having the right plan in place from the start. So what we really like to do is encourage livestock and poultry farmers to give us a call. We can come right out to the farm and really see what they have going on. Every livestock farm is unique. Building layouts are a little bit different, farm layouts are different. So once we can actually see what they want to do, kind of talk through their plans, what they envision that windbreak really doing. Maybe they've got a particular species of trees they really, really like and they want incorporated into that windbreak. After we can kind of get a sense of what they want, we then refer them to one of our 30 nursery professionals through the Green Farmstead Partner Program, have them come right out to the farm and meet with that farmer and really draw them up a plan that meets their needs as well as fits their budget. So by doing that, we really feel we're setting that farmer up for success.
And what's the cost of that, getting that plan drawn up and then where the farmer takes it from there?
So the great thing about the Green Farmstead Partner Program is that the coalition, once involved from the start, we pay for that initial consultation for that landscaper to come out and visit with you and design you up a plan and give you an estimate of what the project's going to cost. So you have no out-of-pocket costs at that point. Then it's up to you to really decide if you want to plant the trees yourself or if you want to have that nursery professional plant those trees. We know the best time to plant trees is the spring and the fall, which is usually the busiest time for farmers. So if you know you're not going to have time to dedicate to those trees, we would recommend having that nursery come out, plant the trees for you. They usually get them a good shot of water to start. They'll mulch them so they can really make this windbreak as turnkey as you want it. Or we've worked with other farmers that have younger kids at home during the summer. They can plant the trees, have the kids water them, maintain them all summer. It really is a great project for any family member as well.
So that plan and consultation, those are covered by the coalition, and then where the farmer wants to take it from there, what trees they want to purchase, how, if they want that planted by somebody else or planted by themselves, then that's their call from there. Is that right?
Yep, that's right. And again, that kind of comes down to a budget item. If you want that site as turnkey as you can get it, you're going to pay a little more for it. But if you've got the time and the labor to do a lot of that work yourself, then you can reduce the cost a little bit. But again, most of those nurseries will give you a 12-month guarantee on that nursery stock. So if you do have a tree that dies, they'll usually come out and replace it for free. So you also get what you pay for. And our nurseries are top-notch, and they do a lot of windbreaks on farms throughout the state of Iowa.
So of course, the coalition offers a wide range of other services to livestock farmers as well. For those who aren't as familiar with the organization, tell us a little bit about those services.
So in addition to the Green Farmstead Partner Program, we really have one main goal, and that is to grow Iowa's livestock and poultry industries successfully and responsibly. And we really work on that in 4 key areas. So if you're thinking about putting up a new livestock or poultry barn, the coalition can help you with siting that barn. We can help interpret the more than 250 pages of rules and regulations that apply to that barn, help enhance neighbor relations, and then again, really kind of focus on best management practices such as the Green Farmstead Partner Program. All of those services are available at no charge and completely confidential through the generous support of Iowa's farm and commodity groups.
The coalition exists to support livestock farmers, whether that's with strategically placed trees, barn siting, or even help navigating regulations. And as you heard Brian say, their help is free and confidential. You can give them a call at 1-800-932-2436 or visit supportfarmers.com. Both the phone number and website are also in the notes for this podcast episode, so you can also find them there. But before you go, we want to give you one last reminder about Iowa Farm Bureau's Acres of Opportunity Conference, which is a chance to learn about niche crop and livestock opportunities from experienced farmers and other experts March 11th in Ames. The event is free for Farm Bureau members and $55 for everyone else. But spots are filling up quickly, so we'd encourage you to register today. You can learn more about the Acres of Opportunity agenda and get registered by using the link in this episode's notes or by heading out to iowafarmbureau.com. That's it for this episode of the Spokesman Speaks podcast. We hope you enjoyed it and that you'll join us for our next one on March 13th. Thank you for doing the work that inspires everything we do here at the Iowa Farm Bureau, and thanks for listening to the Spokesman Speaks.
Thank you for listening to The Spokesman Speaks, a podcast by Iowa Farm Bureau. Check out more podcast episodes at iowafarmbureau.com/podcast. You can also find and subscribe to the Spokesman Speaks podcast in the Apple Podcasts app, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and other popular podcast apps. We appreciate your ratings and reviews, and we welcome you to email us your feedback at podcast@ifbf.org.